1975, and then talk about the beginnings of what you call the mower project. So talk about how that.
We're making tractor cab coolers. That's paying the bills. We're not making a lot of money, but we are paying wages and we're putting a lot of effort into that whole project. That is the tractor cab coolers. We also developed a couple other versions of it that in those years, but that helped maybe fill out the line a little bit. We were just out minding our own business, so to speak. And in the spring of 1977, one bright day, my dad and I began to talk about maybe buying a riding lawnmower just for our own personal use. We were using push mowers on our properties, and we both had, again, maybe about a half acre. And so we thought, well, let's go buy us a couple riding mowers. So we went shopping and bought a couple little rear engine riding mowers with steering wheels and gear shifts. And after a few weeks of using the mowers, my dad and I started talking to each other, and we said, we made a bad mistake. We shouldn't have bought those. These mowers are not helping us out. It looks like on paper it would be a good thing to be able to ride around your yard and mow, but these mowers were not very maneuverable, and so it was actually taking longer to mow the property. The property didn't look nicer than it did before, and we were also using a grass collection system. That was important to us out in our climate to catch the grass clippings. And so anyway, we said, we think we can make a better machine than what's available here on the market. And we had a little slogan: if you can't buy it, build it. And so we did. And so my brother and dad went to work. We built the first prototype in a few weeks, and by the middle of that summer, 1970, we're mowing grass with our own little mower that we've created. And we began to learn a few things about. We looked at this. Is Kansas comes back into the story too, because back in that time there were XL Hustler, Grasshopper, Dixon were three companies that were making steering lever. They were pioneers that were making steering lever or ZTR style machines. We were fascinated with that design because that was one of the problems that we found with the other mower with the steering wheel, is it wasn't very maneuverable. And so we were trying to mow residential properties, and it wasn't the right size to take a big old machine. Even though it would turn right around, it was too big to fit on the property. So our vision was to create a very compact, small little machine with steering levers on it that would fit in on a residential property. Another thing we did that was unique is we created a built-in grass catching system. There was no separate. Most everybody created, and these other companies included, would make a side discharge mower deck. And then if you wanted to collect, you'd put a big tube up on the side and a catcher on the back. And we had the idea of bringing the grass through the middle of the machine, building the system right into the tractor and with a rear discharge deck. Our first prototype, which we could show you, had that idea in it. And so those were a couple things that we looked at to make. We didn't just copy what somebody else had done. We wanted to create our own design to do the job that we had in mind for it to do. And that was one of the key ideas, a simple idea, but still one that helped us get into the market. We were very focused on our tractor cab cooler business, and that was our main business. And so this was kind of a side project. And we had other projects that we liked to work on just to keep ourselves entertained, I guess you'd say. That design urge to design and make things. And we've always taken the track, again, don't make things that you can go that are already available. Make things that aren't available. And so that kind of guided our pursuits. And I should say we built 3 prototypes, one each year for 77, 78, and 79. And by 1979, we had our third prototype. And we decided to take the machine as a market test to the 3i show in Great Bend, Kansas, that spring of 1979. And showed it we thought if we'll show it to the farmers, and if the farmers think looks good to them, that'll give us some encouragement to go ahead and maybe pursue the project. So we did, and sure enough, the farmers seemed to be really interested in the machine. came home from that show and decided we'd make 25 machines on speculation. There were no orders. Nobody had ordered anything. But we said, let's build 25 and see if we can sell them. And so we went to work in 1980 and built 25 of them. It took almost a year to build 25 too, because it was a lot of hand building. Very little tooling was available. So interestingly enough, when we went to the farm show in Kansas, an editor of Yard and Garden magazine snapped a picture of the mower, and Dad didn't remember ever even talking to the fellow, but he went home and put the picture and a few little notes about the machine in the new product section of Yard and Garden magazine. And suddenly, we began to get inquiries from all over the country, because that magazine had national circulation, asking for us, inquiring about the mower. And we were hardly prepared to, again, we had just built these 25 machines, but that began to propel things along. And we really hadn't thought about it. We were thinking more about residential users instead of professional users. And but we met a man that had a contracting company who was mowing a lot of these retirement villages where there are literally millions of little units with little patches of grass in front of each one. And they were mowing those with push mowers. And when they saw our little machine, they said, well, this is the perfect machine we've been looking for. And right in that initial meeting, they ordered 48 of our machines. Now, remember, we've only made 25. And we asked for money down to secure the order. So they gave us money my dad literally was in Florida about 24 hours and headed home with an order. And there were a few other trips. And we managed during 1981 to collect orders for 100 machines with money down. So in 1982, we made 125 machines. 100 were pre-sold and 25 for speculation. But what happened in the early 80s is there was a recession, especially that hit the farm market pretty hard. And the company in Greeley that we'd been making these tractor cab coolers for got in financial trouble and took in a new business partner. And that new partner decided they wanted to manufacture the tractor cab coolers themselves instead of having us do it for them. They would do their own over in Greeley. And so we lost our contract to make the coolers in 1983, the fall of 83. And so in order to survive, we had to go full-time in the lawnmower business in 1984. There was nothing left for us to do. And that's the point I can tell you. We nearly went broke again. I mean, just imagine you've got this steady income off of making coolers. Suddenly that stops, and you've got to somehow shift over and on paper, we should have failed again. There was just not enough money to do. It was literally a miracle. We built 450 machines that year, and we sold every one of them and got paid for every one of them. One of the interesting things is that when we first came to the market, there was about a 15-year period before the big guys discovered steering levers. So we and Grasshopper and XL and several others who were early with ZTR designs, we were given a grace period of that many years before the bigger John Deere, Toro, Jacobson type companies began to say, okay, well, I guess we better have steering levers too. And that period really gave us, we couldn't do today what we did then because the market's very crowded with the styles of the machines. But those were years we were able to build a place for ourselves in the market, and it hasn't been taken away. We try to play to our strengths as a smaller company compared to some of the big guys. It's true they have tremendous resources and could pretty easily drive us out of business if that was their choice. But we continue to try to be agile, to be innovators and leaders in design and innovation. one of the innovations that we did pretty quickly was we were early adopters of fuel injection engines. When they first became available, the Kohler Engine Company came to us in 1998. We, and actually maybe the year before, began to test and and by 1998, we introduced fuel injection engines into our lineup. The big guys were a number of years later before they adopted, and so that is an illustration of how you can compete as a smaller company, is to stay ahead. Through the golf car, the power truck, the tractor cab cooler, which was again built for another, we learned a hard lesson that as if the manufacturer, if you really want to be in control of the whole process, you need to be in control of marketing. Even though you're not that's not maybe your passion, it's still, you need to be in control of that process. And so I took on that work. It was an area, again, I hadn't trained for, but I began to work in developing the marketing program. We began to go to some trade shows, and we began to do quite a bit of, didn't have enough money to do real advertising, but we did quite a few new product announcements in publications. I helped develop some of that, and so we got a lot of publicity just by new product announcements in those couple. We just, again, without spending a lot of money, we were able to get a lot of interest. We began to find that we went to a show. There was a big show called a GIA show, and it was held, the first year we went to it was in Cincinnati. That gave us national exposure to distributors and dealers, and we began to set up a program of distribution, two-step program with distribution and dealers, and that began to, as we could find the right kind of people. Sometimes we made mistakes because we just didn't know better, not getting connected to the right kind of people or the right kind of distribution, but ultimately, we began to build the program that we have today. We have 49 distributors around the world and about 1,200 dealers that sell and service our product. And all that development started kind of back at that beginning point. And the idea of having control of that I think, has been a key thing that has helped us succeed. We've kept control of the process, because there's a lot of ways to lose control of your marketing and program. One of them is the private label route, where somebody will come along with a larger, stronger program and say, well, make this same product for me, only put my name on it, and paint it a different color and all that. And but that's again, that's a way to, quite often you lose control then of your own marketing program when you do things like that. As you walk around and look at the market and look at what's out there, again, there's a lot of machines that are quite similar there in terms of the way they're put together, and they're kind of just different colors of paint, so to speak. But we've tried to, and we'll continue to try to create unique designs and machines we believe that give the best performance and value that we can there's lots of more innovations that are coming. I think, that we keep thinking, well, okay, we've been doing this for this many years, we must have everything figured out, but it just keeps going, the opportunities for new technology, and we're trying to keep our eyes open on that sort of thing. And